So I'm showing a bunch of ways to do things with this pesto chicken power bowl, and I've given the chicken to Opie, but he's still hanging around. And I got these 3-minute wide ramen noodles, which they're in little squares like the Mr. Noodles or whatever, but they're a wider noodle. I saw them on sale at Superstore, and I thought, well, I could do something like a sloppy lasagna with them. And so I found this sauce on sale for 44 cents a jar at Superstore, and I thought, well, that might work, because we'll find out. I'm gonna try it out. So I just put the power bowl without the chicken, and I cooked the ramen noodles with edamame, and we'll see how James likes that. And then I mixed in some cottage cheese with it, because who doesn't like lasagna with cottage cheese, right? So
it's probably healthier than regular cheese.
I don't know. It hasn't been giving me a headache.
Well, that's awesome.
And I've been eating it, so
healthy.
Let's
and
see.
Just as tasty as far as I'm concerned.
So, yeah, this will probably hurt my fingers eating this, because but for a treat.
It's not gluten free.
Yeah.
You find it's the gluten maybe that
yeah.
causes the trouble?
Yeah, I think
It'd
so.
be inflammation.
Yeah, I think.
Gluten's supposed to cause inflammation of this sort or another. Maybe whole bunches of inflammation, not just the connective, like the joints and stuff.
But anyway, so I just thought, well, it was on sale for cheap, whatever. We get the power bowls for free, and I just thought maybe it might be good. So we'll see if James likes it. And it tastes good. Like, I'm just eating the noodles with the edamame and cottage cheese.
Well, that's a good
but I would have cooked some spinach with it, because spinach is good with but I forgot to. But there's some in that power bowl, I think. So James has pretty much, his is going to be like a phony lasagna, I think.
I'm not going to eat most of it right away. I just finished a meal. I've got a med diarrhea that I had to make with food. So that was around 6, I think I took it. So that wasn't that long ago. So I'm basically full. They say meal, not food, and then they say big glass of water. So I try to follow. I don't have trouble with it.
Yeah, this is a hot vegetable spread, but
so
it's not overly hot. You'll like it still. Like, I didn't mix it in really strong or anything, right?
Oh, that's good. Although I find that what Pauline thinks is mild is kind of strong.
Well, you're cutting it with Power Bowl too.
Yeah,
keep in mind.
Right.
So it's going to be even less strong for you.
Well, that's good.
So,
Anyway, it looks pretty attractive. I figure that kind of this kind of red kind of stimulates
appetite.
Appetite.
Yeah. So we've been not hiking in the mornings when it's really hot during this heat wave that seems to last forever this summer, which I may look back at, when it's 30 below and go, oh, wasn't that nice to have plus 35?
It'd be hard to be nostalgic about plus 34 or whatever. 35. So, very hard.
Anyway,
so I should clarify, Pauline's a little short of sleep. We don't go walking in the morning when it's hot. On the days when it's hot, we go walking in the morning. Or we want to.
We've been trying to go walking in the evening.
Oh my God.
Night.
Was that awful last
because
night?
I'm awake anyway. It's so hot.
Yeah.
So I'm very short of sleep. And so we are trying to cool down the house in the morning, so we open up the door and put the fan, and it's blowing and whatever.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's not very cool out here.
Well,
And
it's not
so-
what you'd like it to be.
No,
at
so
the beginning
even-
of the day.
Yeah, I managed to get my house down to plus 26. That's what the temperature
It might
with
go
the fan
a little
going.
lower, but I don't
doubt
think
it.
so.
No,
Yeah,
that's it.
A bad
So-
setup for what's going to be a fairly warm day.
Yeah. So anyway, so it's hard to get sleep in this sort of weather, and so James and I, we tried going hiking at. We
It
were
was
thinking, well, what can we? Where can we walk?
9:30 last
So that-
night,
Yeah,
well after sunset.
yeah.
And
It was still hot.
yeah,
And we were thinking, well, where can we go? Like, we're going to have to go somewhere where we can see our feet while we're walking,
Yeah.
you know, and
we wanted a
so we
decent
thought, well,
pathway.
it's going to have to be really urban hiking. And so we thought, well, James thought, we'll go hiking around Henderson Lake.
I'm going to go by a lake because I was hoping for a little bit of a breeze off the lake to kind
Which
of
you
go-
don't want at Henderson Lake.
Oh, is it awful?
So stinky.
Oh man.
So-
well, I've never smelled it like it was.
So bad.
night.
Um,
It smelled like
We got
someone
the-
had let loose, like a little bit of gas or something.
no,
like that.
a lot of it. A lot of it. If somebody had farted, it would have smelled better
Yeah.
than Henderson Lake.
And you
so-
couldn't get away from it if you were standing on the
It
path.
was so
I
bad.
was a little worried we get
And-
asphyxiated by the methane. They find just a bunch of people dead.
It can't be healthy. So anyway, so we're walking around that lake, and there's lots of people there still. It's it's dark and whatever. They're out there. Like,
You
well,
can't
wait.
even see
Well,
them.
when we started, there was a ball game going on, so I can understand people being there for that, right? But
Most of the people weren't there for the ball
but
game.
most weren't there. Well, the people that we were walking by sure weren't. They were there for
No.
whatever. I don't
No.
know.
Most of those folks that we saw would be more into cricket or soccer, whatever.
I have no idea.
Well,
so
I've seen.
I wrote a few poems when I got home last night. We walked until about just after 10:30, so
Yeah.
maybe I
So it's
got
about
home
an hour.
around 11 or something, and then and then after, like, I was thinking, oh, maybe some exercise, maybe I'll go to sleep right away. Well, I didn't. I wrote some poems, so that didn't work out. Because, I mean, when you're not getting the sleep, you're thinking, okay, well, I'll try a bunch of things. First, you try, I'm going to eat a little bit of food, because that'll usually put you to sleep, right? But then, you end up eating a bit of food, and you don't go to sleep, and you're like, okay, there's those calories for nothing. Now I'm going to have to try to work that off and whatever.
Start worrying.
But yeah, and then you start worrying, and then you're just not sleeping even more. But anyway, so here's my poem, Henderson Lake Egg Farts. Henderson Lake smells so farty. I'll never spend time there again. Youth seem to go there to party near crowds of young immigrant men. Stranger or strangers that outrunning, more deeply inhaling that stink. Or the bikini chicks sunning themselves. Hot stinks worse, one would think. If friends ate beans and were farting along as they followed their route, farts wouldn't drive friends to parting, since no one would notice each toot. Oh, root and toot. There we go. Bean farts would likely smell better, and cabbage would smell better too. Maybe stinks worse when it's wetter, like Henderson's sharded a few. Once round that lake, I'm still smelling that Henderson stink in my hair. After one lap there, I'm telling you, nobody's dragging me there. That's it. I'm not going back. That lake's stinky. They've sure put a lot of money into dolling that thing up. I mean, they have the infrastructure they've stuck up around that. Like, they put up a new big, well, I don't know how new. See, I don't go there. New to me, because I don't go there. I went there last night. They put up this big Mikiyuko Bunka building or something like that.
Yeah, we didn't check it out.
No, we did
That's
not.
how annoyed we were. The smell was
It was just so bad.
You're a long way from the lake there.
Yeah. So, it's a really fancy building,
Looks
but
like
honestly, I know the Nikki-Yuko garden, Japanese garden, gets a big rap, whatever. I'm more interested in seeing how those painted turtles are doing.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of worried.
I'm worried about that.
I don't really want to walk by
I know.
the rest of this.
Because there's real nature that's real impressive, and what's going into that? How much money are they putting into stuff like that? The stuff that I'd rather see. You know, if you think about species in the Japanese gardens, and I know it's a different sort of thing, but there's not very much diversity of plant species in the Japanese gardens. When you look at the diversity in something like, say, 6 Mile Coulee,
There's a lot there.
where the mountain bikers are ripping it up.
Thank you, mountain bikers.
You know, it's there's a lot of biodiversity there, plant diversity, and animal diversity too. I mean, there's not going to be much animal diversity in the Japanese gardens. There would be zero, except for humans. So human, that's it. But anyway, there might be a few. You would see some ducks and geese from the one end.
I'd
Because
like to
you'd
think
look
so.
out at
Yeah.
Henderson Lake and they'd be there, right?
Ducks and geese, and there would
They
be
might
some
wander in.
birds
Yeah.
floating down and
Sure.
things like that.
So yeah, I'm exaggerating a bit when I say human. So anyway, there's that big building, and I'm like, okay, well, it's just they're trying to pump up the Japanese gardens more, but it's just this tiny little thing. It looks like
The building.
well, the Japanese gardens
Japanese
itself
gardens,
is
very
very small. And when you go to it, like the first time I went to it, I'm like, this is it?
That was my
People
response.
are paying this much money to get into this thing?
This much
I mean,
money,
it's
this
nice.
much land. You know, this
Yeah.
much money, this much
It's
land.
it's like going into some seeing some rich person's fancy yard or something. You go in there and you're
Not
like,
much
okay,
more,
that's it. I can look this way and look this way.
Mhm.
You know, you can't really walk that far, and you're at the end of it. So,
I was shocked.
yeah.
I
Anyway,
felt like Peggy Lee in her classic time. Is that all there is?
yeah. But I mean, at the same time, you look at it and you go, well, they do have to charge admission for this thing, so that people don't go in and vandalize it and whatever. I mean, it'd be destroyed really fast if.
Yeah, you got to pay for people to kind of
To
guide.
keep-
but
it's-
it's really
it's-
like supervisor.
Exactly. Well, it's like because there's admission, it's sort of like a gated community. So
Yeah.
you can pay to have a share in this fancy yard that you go. Really, that's about it.
Yeah,
so-
so there'd be graffiti all over the place. And I
There
know
would be
there are
a
a few
few.
people out there that think that's art, but anyone with any sense and any taste knows way better. There's an occasional bit of graffiti that's pretty good, but most of it's just.
And I should mention that you're thinking, well, why, if it's so hot, why did you cook? Well, I cooked out on the deck.
On the deck.
Yeah, I made the noodles in the electric wok.
Yeah. It's amazing how much energy or heat gas stoves.
Valeni, you don't want it when it's hot. You don't want to put any more heat in your house. You can't even get the.
Well, a toaster even good stuff. When it's hot, you buy a toaster and you go, huh? You know, I don't like it. You know?
But yeah, I mean, they have this fancy baseball stadium right beside Henderson Lake there.
It
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be very well.
And a skate park and the pool with all the water slides and such. And it is cute the way they have it lit so that you can look at it while you're walking by and go in the evening
I've
and
got to
say,
go
oh,
there.
I'd like
Got to
to.
go there.
Yeah. I can't
I
wait
think
until
that
it's open.
that place, I can't really fault the swimming pool. I'm not a big fan of those water slides, but it always was in the summertime. Because during the daytime, the parking there was filled overflowing. People would be parking on the.
Yeah, but what
Avenue.
I don't understand is why don't they have that pool open longer hours? Like, we were there late into the evening, and it was still hot. People
Yep.
still would have wanted to be swimming had they
Mhm.
had the option. And they could just have it for like adult swim at from I don't know 9 until midnight or something like that.
Be interesting.
And why not? They have the pool there.
Yeah, they'd have to pay for the lifeguard, but people don't want to pay taxes and stuff like that. Not terribly interested, many of them, in paying taxes for health care.
They're already paying huge. Like, we were walking at the end of the lake, and there's the exhibition
God.
grounds. It's just all built up there, that building.
The new one, yeah.
Yeah, and you're walking by it and you're thinking, okay, well, this is a private enterprise. But
I
how
think
much of the funds to build that thing were public?
half-
Because you hear about it all the time.
You always hear, hey, we're private enterprise. Do you think the public sphere could come up, chip in with half?
hmm And, I mean, you walk on the other side by the golf course. How much of the funds for the golf course are actually private funds, too? You wonder,
I
right?
would hate to think the city had anything to do with that.
hmm
Generally, people who golf are well off or
hmm
rich, and it's land extensive. In other words, there's a lot of land being devoted to a very small number of people, and those people should support they should come up with every penny to support that.
hmm I mean, a golf course is really, it's an ultimate gated community, or a gated garden. I mean, we're talking about the Japanese gardens, but you pay your membership or your admission fee to get into a golf course, and the riffraff are kept out too, because they certainly can't afford golf clubs and
Yeah, they
a
know
golf membership.
if you were trespassing. Henderson Lake Park is open to the golf course, but if they saw a bunch of people walking around without golf clubs, golf bag, frankly,
How do you like the noodles and Powerball?
working like a charm. I'm basically full, but I'm chowing down. Yeah.
I think this sauce was definitely worth 44 cents.
You see, Pauline asked what the Powerball was like, and these guys came over. You see, I must have figured out. She's talking about the food. They want to say that it smells delicious. I don't know if you see Elvis licking his chops here, ramping up, trying to show how enthused he is about it. Are you guys a couple of good guys? They agree. They're a couple of good guys.
But yeah, we were walking. At first, I was walking around the lake and I hadn't caught whiff of it yet. And
I was waiting.
I was-
I didn't think it would be so bad. Oh
It
my
was so
gosh.
bad.
It was. It
So-
was stinksome.
Anyway, so I'm walking there and I'm thinking about, they do this dragon boat thing at Canada Day or whatever to celebrate, because it's the Japanese gardens right there and whatever.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, I'd watched,
Behind you. Elvis.
I've been
Back.
watching Slings and Arrows, I think that's what it's called, recently, and it's not good.
That's a TV show. TV
Yeah.
show.
Yep.
Excuse me, guys.
And I mean, maybe they decided to make that TV show. At one point, they're talking about how their audience for it's about people who are in theater. They're putting on plays for like Shakespeare and stuff. They're putting on plays, and they've noticed that their audience it keeps getting older and older. So they're losing their audience. So if they don't attract young people, then they're hooped, right? How are they going to keep doing Romeo and Juliet if their audience dies. So, anyway, I was thinking, well, maybe that's why they did this show. You know, they're trying to promote. I mean, this is a Canadian production, so talking about public funds, right?
Maybe,
And
probably.
in the show, they talk about public funds too. Like they're
Yeah,
like,
fundamental.
well, they're asking for like millions of dollars for theater and stuff like that, whatever, from the government. And anyway, so I was thinking, well, maybe that's, you know, a way the government and is allowing or is helping the theater people promote theater is through this TV show, right? Which is kind of funny. But anyway, I went off topic.
They did get Mark McKinney there, or whatever his name is, right?
They got some great actors.
Right?
They
Yeah,
also
well,
got some really terrible actors.
Oh my God. Why
Yeah,
would they
but
do
I'll
that?
talk about that show at a later time. All I wanted to mention from it was the swan boats. You know, you see they had some swan boats in one of the episodes, and or a swan boat was featured. You know,
These are the things you pedal.
Yeah, you pedal with your feet, and on a lake. So I was walking after just seeing that. You know, earlier in the day, I was walking by the Henderson, the start of Henderson Lake, and I was thinking, you know, the city could buy some of those swan boats, but not as swans. They could be dragon boats, so they could be shaped like a dragon. And James said like a Loch Ness monster, and I said, yeah, I guess so.
With lots of people.
But yeah, with, you know, so it's long, so you sit like kind of like you would in a canoe, but there's like humps like that and whatever. But then, you know, after getting a whiff of Henderson Lake, I thought, no, nobody would pay money to rent a dragon boat. You know, even though, I mean, you could have dragons that were pretty long. You could have different sized dragons, and you can have ones that were like, that could fit a whole Mormon family, all paddling along. Because, I mean, this community, there's a lot of Mormon people with big families. Anyway, a lot of other people with big families too. I didn't mean to just say Mormons. That's,
well,
you know,
it's probably
just, you
kosher
think
to
about,
say that because they're white. Eh?
Yeah, you think about southern Alberta as being like a Bible Belt and predominantly Mormon. That's all. But it's not that way anymore. I'm sure there's, you know, there's lots of other people with lots of other children.
Lots of other religious
and
entities that are here now. But it wasn't just the Mormons, it's a big Hutterite area.
True.
Lethbridge, not so much the community. Mm-hmm. Lots of Mennonites in the general area, Coaldale, other places.
Yeah.
Dutch Reformed, Christian Reformed, as they prefer to be called here. They've swept around places like Pitcher. There's a place they call, not Alligator Alley, what is it, Feedlot Alley, north of Lethbridge. And, you know, the Dutch Reformed tend to be fairly fundamentalist. Well, I don't have to say about Hutterites and Mennonites.
I don't know what they could do to make that lake not so stinky. It's
well, they're not aerating it, from what I could tell.
Like they could put in some fountains, I was thinking, maybe?
Well, they used to have them.
Did they?
They were aerated, big fountains. Maybe two of them, one on each end, something like that. I haven't seen them this year.
But wow, that was incredible.
I think they're trying to save water. You see what I'm saying?
Well, that's true. But while we were going, the sprinklers were watering the lawn, and
towards the end, yeah.
And the sprinklers were watering the golf course. So
yeah, shame on you, golf course. Anyway,
did you want the rest of this?
I can eat it. Maybe not now, but just hold on to it for a while. It's not going to go bad. Later in the day it would. Just save it. I'm amazed I ate this much. That's the advertisement. See, this is empty. This is full.
Yeah.
I haven't lost my sense of humor in the...
Yeah, I was a little worried when I got this. Like, you can't see through the window. Superstore might want to work on that. You can't see through the window, or I guess it's TNT.
Yeah.
That this is this size, right? And so I was like, am I going to have to cook that whole thing of noodles?
Yeah.
Or you don't know. You can't see that through
I think TNT is an abbreviation. I think it would be Thai. It means big.
the... Oh.
That means something like flour.
I just expected it was Chinese.
It is Chinese.
Oh.
So this is 3 parts of a hour. See, 3 minutes.
Okay.
This is a knife cutting through something. Right?
Oh.
Knife cutting through an 8. Knife on the bottom.
Yeah.
And this means noodle over here. This would be ramen.
That means noodle?
This means noodle.
That's a big thing. A lot of complexity
A lot
for
of stuff.
noodle.
This is kind of like face over here. This is kind of like wheat. And this is kind of like a hand holding wheat, and there's a face. The face would probably be a mnemonic, right? Like, telling you how to pronounce it. But that's 3. It's very obvious, right? And you can see this is 8 above there, and this is knife. Although the knife is cut through. This it doesn't mean 8 in this context. It's a knife cutting through something, making 2 pieces.
All right, so I'm sorry.
And this is kind of like hour of time.
I managed I managed to take up so much of the time. I don't even know if you have any time.
Well, there's still, the light hasn't come on. What does it say? 3 minutes?
Yep. God,
Yeah.
you're good at that.
Sometimes.
Okay, well.
Anyway, folks.
Go ahead and talk about it.
Well, I've just given people a warning. Like Pauline was saying, you probably read this one before. And I've gone through everything but the appendices, and I've gone through quite a bit of the appendices a second time. And notes. I've even gone through the index a second time. So I've got about 90 pages left. I think it's 50 pages left of the appendices. I finished one appendix actually, and about 40 pages of the notes. So technically, I've finished this particular book a second time. But I was looking through my collection of books on the assassination of John F. Kennedy, and I found I got a paperback version of this and finished it in 2017, refinished it, I think it's 2023, and then this I've gone through once in 2024, and I'm almost finished it again in 2024. This, well, in essence, I've gone through the text, all but the appendices. The one appendix, finished the other, and some of the notes. I finished some of the notes, but I've got most of the notes left to go through. Anyway, it comes highly recommended. It overrates or it underrates, doesn't overrate the mafia connection with, the mafia planning and operation of the assassination of Kennedy, but it underrates the contributions of rogue CIA agents and Cuban exiles in the assassination. There's a lot of that. One of the good things about this is it talks about the assassination of Robert Kennedy. Almost certainly that was conspiracy carried out, orchestrated by the mob. 2 people of...
Elvis want banana?
The weird thing is, Sirhan was described as a Caucasian, and he's a Caucasian, but